from Kim, and she can fuck all night.
Hey, how's it going? It's your boy Chiefs Rays Bolts. It's been quite the journey this season, and I could not be more happy to end the season by saying this. The Kansas City Chiefs are champions of Super Bowl 57. Wow, how about that? The Kansas City Chiefs, in what was seemingly a rebuild year, have won the Super Bowl, and there's just so much that must be said about it, which is exactly why we're getting right into this. Coming into this game, the Chiefs were underdogs, as everybody knew. Eagles had a seemingly unstoppable defense and offense combination, and the Chiefs just seemed undermatched for the challenge, but they ultimately prevail on top. Let's get into this one. The Eagles would start off with the football. It only takes them 4 minutes, 51 seconds to find the end zone. They get it pretty quickly. They drive down pretty easily, and they get the touchdown. It's a Jalen Hurts 1-yard rush. Philadelphia's up 7-0 5 minutes into the game. The Chiefs get the ball back, and boy, do they respond quickly. It's 3 minutes, 12 seconds, and Mahomes finds Travis Kelce over the shoulder for the 18-yard touchdown. The extra point is good. We're tied at 7 with 6 minutes, 57 seconds to go in the first quarter. The Eagles get the ball back, and they were held to a 3-and-out. So the Chiefs get the ball back, and they go drive downfield. They get to the Philadelphia 24. Harrison Butker lines up with the 42-yard field goal. Kind of looks like he slips slightly. Regardless or not, it doinks off the goalpost, and it is no good. It is 7-7. The Eagles get the ball back, and with that opportunity, they go downfield in just 2 minutes and 32 seconds. 5 plays, they get a touchdown. It's an A.J. Brown 45-yard pass from Jalen Hurts, and A.J. Brown is an elite receiver for a reason. He showcases just why he's elite on this play alone. Kind of fakes out rookie Trent McDuffie by stopping to brace himself for the catch, and catches McDuffie off guard, goes behind McDuffie, and catches the pass in the end zone for the touchdown. It's 14-7 to start the second quarter. The Chiefs receive the ball back. They would go 3-and-out. But it was all right because the Eagles get the ball back, and on their 6th play, Jalen Hurts fumbles the football in the pocket. It's picked up by Nick Bolton, and he takes it to the house for the scoop and score. 36 yards, fumble 6 for Nick Bolton. The extra point was good. We're tied at 14. The Eagles get the ball back. It's a touchdown. 7 minutes, 75 yards. It's a Jalen Hurts 4-yard rush. The Eagles would convert on 2 fourth-down plays on this drive to make it happen. Seems like Jalen Hurts is pretty unstoppable when he's lining up for a QB sneak. So the Philadelphia Eagles go up 21-14. The Chiefs get the ball back, and they would punt after 5 plays. So the Chiefs' offense, for the 3rd straight drive, would come up with 0 points. The Eagles would get the ball back as time would tick down in the first half of the game. They would get to the Kansas City 17, line up Jake Elliott for the 35-yard field goal. It is good. So the Eagles are up double digits to go into halftime, and here's a stat that everybody had heard about at this point. Teams in the Super Bowl leading by double digits going into halftime, had a record of 26-1. That one team that came back prior to this game was the New England Patriots on the Atlanta Falcons just 6 years ago. So very rarely does a team come back down double digits to go into halftime. The Chiefs would receive the ball to start the second half. 10 plays, 5 minutes, 30 seconds. They would find their way down the field and get Isaiah Pacheco, the 7th-round rookie, into the end zone on a 1-yard rush. The Chiefs are right back in this thing. It's 24-21, Philadelphia. The Eagles get the ball back on their first play of this drive. Jalen Hurts would pass for 3 yards to Sanders. L'Jarius Sneed would then force a fumble on Sanders. It was recovered by Nick Bolton again, who again ran it back for a touchdown. The problem was, according to the NFL rulebook, Sanders had not yet maintained possession of the football and made a football move, so they overturned the ruling on the field as an incomplete pass. It's a dumb rule, because Sanders definitely had possession of it. He definitely tried to make a football move. L'Jarius Sneed stopped him from making that football move by forcing the fumble out, and he's punished for making a good play. Unfortunately, it was reversed, and the Eagles would get the ball back. And with this opportunity, they would get down the field and have Jake Elliott score a 33-yard field goal to put the Eagles up 27-21. Forgot to mention that in the first half, Mahomes would be tackled on the ankle, and it re-aggravated his high ankle sprain, and he was in pain. He was in a lot of pain, and it was clear, and I thought that we were screwed at this point on. But nope, he comes out in the second half. First drive of the second half, he gets the touchdown and looks like Patrick Mahomes. I don't know what the hell is in this guy's veins, but he is unstoppable. And it's really something we've never seen before in this league, and it's really fun to watch every time he steps on the football field. So the Eagles are up 27-21. The Chiefs get the football back on 9 plays, 4 minutes, 41 seconds. 3rd and 3 at the Philadelphia 5-yard line. Kadarius Toney gets a touchdown pass from Patrick Mahomes. And Kadarius Toney, mid-season trade acquisition from the New York Giants, a guy who wasn't even on the opening day roster, gets a touchdown. So in the second half, the first 2 Chiefs touchdowns are by a 7th-round rookie and a second-year guy who was picked up in a trade acquisition mid-season. Just impressive for the Chiefs. And what was even more impressive was the scheming on this play by none other than Andy Reid. When you break down this play, it's just quite genius. He finds a weakness in the Eagles' defense with the tapes, and he puts together plays that fool the defense and get Kadarius Toney wide open for the touchdown. Because when you look at this touchdown, nobody's even close to Toney. He walks right in. How does this happen? Well, Kadarius Toney lines up on the right side of the field, and then in motion starts running towards Patrick Mahomes, looking like he's going to go in motion to the left side of the field, and then cuts back and goes back to the right side of the field on the snap. And Mahomes finds him wide open, fools the Eagles' defense, and works to perfection. So the Chiefs are right back in this thing. They're up 28-27, 1 point. The Eagles get the ball back, and what would they do? 3 and out. They would go 3 and out. The defense would hold. And this was big because guess what? The Eagles would punt the football to the Kansas City 30 for Kadarius Toney to pick up, and Kadarius Toney, the midseason acquisition, second-year player, has the longest punt return in Super Bowl history on this punt. Kadarius Toney, longest punt return in Super Bowl history, 65 yards, gets tackled at the 5-yard line, and it sets the Chiefs up perfectly. On 3rd and goal at the Philadelphia 4, Andy Reid and the Chiefs would hit the Eagles defense with the exact same play as Kadarius Toney's touchdown, except on the other side of the field this time. Sky Moore lines up on the left side of the field, in motion goes towards Mahomes, then cuts back on the snap, back to the left side of the field, and he's wide open for the touchdown. So 3 touchdowns in the second half of the Kansas City Chiefs, 2 of them by rookies, the second one by a second-season player. You talk about the pure genius of general manager Brett Veach putting together and forming a Super Bowl roster with a bunch of rookies, and we'll get more into that. The Chiefs are up 35-27. The Eagles get the ball back with 9 minutes, 22 seconds left, and you're starting to feel a little bit confident at this point in the game as a Chiefs fan. You're starting to think, wow, if the defense could just run the clock out, like just like prevent the deep plays, let them run out their own clock. You think maybe, but nope, it doesn't happen. Jalen Hurts finds Devontae Smith on a deep pass for 45 yards, and it would set up Jalen Hurts for a 2-yard rushing touchdown on 1st and goal. They get it. They would have to go for the 2-point conversion to tie the game up at 35, and Jalen Hurts once again rushes on it, and he gets in. He gets in, and it's a tie game at 35, and you're right back to stressing out because there's still 5 minutes left in this football game. Still 5 minutes left. We got a long way to go. Elliott punts to the end zone, and let me just say really quickly, the Chiefs did not run back a single kickoff all game. They didn't do it once. And I just got to say, I love it. Fantastic. Dave Tope got that one right. I know I've been harsh of him all year. Special teams definitely stepped up in this game. The Chiefs would start their drive at their own 25-yard line, and what would happen? Well, they would slowly drive and kill the clock down. On 1st and 10 at the Philadelphia 43-yard line, Patrick Mahomes scrambles for 26 yards, and this was just a true warrior play by Patrick LeVon Mahomes II. It's just a legendary play. Instant classic. On a bad ankle, outruns a couple of D linemen, scrambles 26 yards for the first down. Just a guy who refuses to lose. I've never seen such determination by a quarterback or any football player on a football field ever than the determination of Patrick LeVon Mahomes II. There's really not a whole lot left to be said about him as a player at this point in his career. 5 years in, He's done it all. Just a super clutch play. 1st and 10, 26-yard scramble to set the Chiefs up in prime range for a field goal. But they weren't done. There were still 2 minutes left. We get the 2-minute warning. On 3rd and 8 at the Philadelphia 15, 1 minute, 54 seconds left. It's an incomplete pass to Juju Smith-Schuster. But what would happen was there would be a holding call on James Bradbury. And this was an extremely controversial holding call because it would set the Chiefs up for 1st and 10 with less than 2 minutes left and the Eagles having just 1 timeout left. So now the Chiefs have the ability to run down the clock to 10 seconds and kick the field goal. And this is why the play was so controversial. It wasn't a hold. It's just the timing of the call. Well, here's a newsflash for you. Just because it's a crucial play at a critical part of the game, players aren't just suddenly allowed to cheat to their advantage. You can't suddenly just cheat because of the timing of the play. It doesn't work like that. It is a hold, and what was really just frustrating about the thing for me was the fact that Fox and the media and all night after this game was over, they would not show the correct holding call. They kept showing the second grab, which wasn't a holding, and they kept acting like that was the hold. No, show the first tug. There you go. That's the first tug. That's the holding. And you could see a clear tug that slows down Juju from running his route, and that's a penalty, my friend. You don't get to cheat just because it happened at the most crucial part of the game. You don't just get to suddenly cheat. It doesn't work like that. It's a clear tug. You don't have to like the call, but it's in the NFL rulebook. You can't do that. So it is a penalty. You can say whatever you want about it, but it's a penalty. And you can't even argue about it because James Bradbury in the post-game interview admitted to it. He said, yep, I was hoping they'd let it go. It was a hold. And honestly, James Bradbury, I admire that tremendously. Owning up to that when everybody in the world hates the call. You own up to it and admit that it was a penalty. Bravo to you, my friend. It's very classy. It's very honorable. Admitting to it, owning up to it, just shutting everybody up about the conversation of it not being a hold. Immense respect to you. And what would happen? Well, the Chiefs would then, like I said, get to run down the clock. 11 seconds left. They would line up Harrison Butker for the 27-yard field goal, and he gets it. And the Chiefs go up by 3 points with 8 seconds left. That is enough time for Jalen Hurts to try one deep pass from his own 36-yard line. And as we all know, he's been dealing with a shoulder problem, and he doesn't have his full strength. He can't throw it from his own 36 to the end zone. He just can't do it. He just simply doesn't have the ability to throw the ball that far. So it's an incomplete pass, really short of where he intended to throw it. And that's it. The game is over. The Chiefs, for the second time in 4 years, are Super Bowl champions. And I can't even believe it. Mahomes re-aggravates his ankle in the second quarter of the game, comes out in the second half, and throws one entire incompletion, and it was a throwaway pass. He threw one incompletion the entire second half on a throwaway pass. Just remarkable. Now, listen, I'm sorry, but I have to make this a little personal really quickly. Just for a second, if you don't mind. This is a personal message from the bottom of my heart to a man that I have been very, very hard on for a couple of years now. I must issue an apology to the man himself, head referee Carl Sheffers. And I'm not saying this because of that late game holding call. I'm saying this because of your performance for the entire game. In Super Bowl 55, Sheffers just threw an embarrassing amount of flags. It was every other play. It was at a point where you expected every play to have a flag. You couldn't even celebrate a first down because you just knew there was going to be a flag. Truly, probably, genuinely, the worst officiated game I've ever seen in my entire life was Super Bowl 55, Chiefs versus Bucks. And if this is your first time watching me, let me just state that the Chiefs would have lost that game regardless of officiating. But that doesn't mean it wasn't the worst officiating performance I've ever seen in my entire life. It was terrible. And then twice this regular season, Carl Sheffers was assigned to a Chiefs game. Both games this season, he was terrible towards the Chiefs. Always threw penalties in favor of the opposing team. It never evened out, never made sense. It seemed truly that Sheffers had a personal bias against the Chiefs. It was every single Chiefs game Sheffers officiates. There are 3 times the amount of flags of a normal game. But the flags were very minimal in this game. And that is how a Super Bowl is supposed to be, baby. Carl Sheffers, you did a phenomenal job this game. This is coming from one of your biggest critics. One of the best officiating performances I've seen in a while in Super Bowls. And that was just based on the fact that you let the boys play. For the first time I've ever seen you do. You let the boys play the game. Minimal flags, called them when they were obvious, and that is just how officiating is supposed to be, especially in the Super Bowl. It's clear and obvious, call it. If it's ticky-tack, just let the boys play. You could say, oh, well, the James Bradbury penalty was ticky-tack. Oh, no, he admitted to it. It was obvious. You have to call that. It was obvious. It was in front of the officials. They got to call that. I'm sorry. So, Carl Sheffers, I owe you an apology. You did fantastic. Speaking of apologies, what was it that Shaq said? It was Shaquille O'Neal who said this last year, and it became a meme. But it's very indicative of how I feel towards somebody else. That somebody else being Jalen Hurts. I owe you an apology. I wasn't really familiar with your game. But Jalen Hurts, holy shit, what a game did he play. Jalen Hurts, 27 of 38, 304 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 passing touchdown. I believe it was like 2 rushing touchdowns, maybe even 3. 0 interceptions. You have an argument, my friend, for the absolute best performance in a Super Bowl loss ever. He had me sweating bullets in this game. I was very skeptical of Jalen Hurts coming into this game because he's more of a running quarterback. He's beaten Daniel Jones and Josh Johnson this playoffs and Brock Purdy without a throwing arm. I was very skeptical of how he'd perform against a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes in a game as big as the Super Bowl. But he played up to his full potential. He played exactly how he's been playing. And my friend, you've earned my respect from here on out. Jalen Hurts, what an admirable performance by him. And speaking of Eagles players, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, and Kenneth Gainwell, all showcasing why the Eagles are said to have an elite offense. They played incredible. And they also had me worrying. I was not riding high at all on the Eagles' offense coming to this game. It was more of a defensive team, I thought. It was going to be the defense that potentially wins the Eagles this game. It was going to be the defense that shows the world why the Eagles are the best. No, the defenses for both teams weren't that great because they were outweighed by the greatness of their team's offenses. Jalen Hurts, the Eagles have really earn my respect. I just wish the image of the Eagles and the class that the Eagles organization showcased post-game, during the game, pre-game, was reflective of how the city of Philadelphia, the fan base, is. But the truth is that they're not. Philadelphia has a very aggressive fan base, and a lot of people dislike it. Philadelphia is often looked upon as a classless fan base, classless city, and most of the time I agree with the statement, honestly. I mean, every team has bad fans. Every team has great fans. So I'm not here to categorize every Eagle fan as one group of people, but it does feel like the image that Philadelphia's fan base has is often one of the most negative in sports. For that, I just want to take a moment to recognize respectable and good Eagles fans out there, because there are plenty of you out there. So hats off to you for actually being a respectable part of the Eagles fan base. Now, like I said at the beginning of this video, this was a rebuild year for the Kansas City Chiefs. You lose Tyreek Hill, the rest of your division goes out and spends big money. The Chiefs win the division. The Chiefs have the division out of reach by Thanksgiving. And we were 2 months into the season, and everybody knew that the Chiefs were going to win the division. 20 out of the last 22 Chiefs draft picks. So in other words, every draft pick since the 2020 draft, minus 2 players, were on the active roster for this Super Bowl. And the Chiefs defense, with all these rookies, had iffy moments. A lot of them. The Chiefs themselves had a lot of iffy moments. Everybody did. And so when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl 3 years ago, it was about week 17 or 18 that everything started to feel like it was just right. Everything felt like we were on our way to winning a Super Bowl. You just had that gut feeling that it was our year. And I never really got that feeling with this year's Chiefs. Because like I said, there were a lot of iffy moments from all sides of the ball. From every player. Everybody just had iffy moments. When Mahomes goes down with an ankle problem against Jacksonville in the divisional, the last thing on your mind is, oh, we're going to go win a Super Bowl. And this team does it. This team gets it done and they win the Super Bowl. I have to say it. There is no such thing as a rebuild year when Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback. Any other team, they would have been lucky to make the playoffs, I feel like. With the roster that the Chiefs had, any other team would have been lucky to make the playoffs. The Chiefs won the Super Bowl with this roster. 20 out of the last 22 Chiefs draft picks were on the active roster. I mean, is that not enough to be impressed? It was just a spectacular performance from the Chiefs. a spectacular year. And I cannot believe that the Chiefs have been crowned champions for the second time in 4 seasons. It's an unreal feeling. In the moment, it's just, you're overwhelmed with emotions as a fan. And the truth is that every Super Bowl your team doesn't play in, it feels like the Super Bowl. It feels like the Super Bowl. It feels like a giant stage, the whole world watching, the biggest deal on the planet that day, that night. But when your team is playing in it, my God, it just feels like another game. Like, it doesn't, you're just so focused. You're dealing with the stress of it. You're just, you want to win the last game of the season. And so because of that, you don't even really realize that, holy shit, this is the Super Bowl. We just won the Super Bowl. And it takes a moment to hit you that you're a champion. You've won it all. It's been 3 days since the game now, and I'm still not so sure it's even hit me yet. This is what you live for. As a dedicated, diehard sports fan, these are the games that you live for. These are the games that every sports fan dreams of having just once, just one time in their lives. And this is the second time in 4 years that the Chiefs have pulled it off and done it. And I'm just, for the most part, at a loss for words because of it. So with that being said, the Chiefs, my friends, they end their season where they began it, at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. And they win the last NFL game of the season, Super Bowl 57. It's amazing. I'm still in shock and disbelief, whatever you want to call it. It hasn't even really hit me yet. The Chiefs being Super Bowl champions again. It's just, I did not think it would happen this year with the roster they had, but here we are. Thank you for following me throughout the entire season. Maybe you've been here for a few seasons now, but thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking with me throughout this time, and I can't wait to be back here again next season. But for now, I, alongside the rest of Chiefs Kingdom, am in celebratory mode. So just for good measure, Chiefs are champs, baby. I'll catch you next season. Peace out.